Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to our respected panels and supervisor. So in this video, we are going to present our research topic entitled The Factors that Influence UiTM KEDAH Student Looking for a Part-Time Job. Throughout this research, we have been supervised by Sir Firdaus bin Ramli. Before we go into a deeper explanation, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Siti Nazaratul Aisyah binti Mohamad Izamin. Along with my research partner is Najah Musfirah binti Ishak. We are both from KEM 22860. This is the outline of this presentation. Chapter 1 is about introduction. Chapter 2 is explain about the literature review and conceptual frame. Next, in Chapter 3 is about research method, and lastly, Chapter 4 and 5 about finding, discussion and analysis of this study. Without further ado, I will explain a research background under Chapter 1. So, part-time job, according to the International Labour Organization 2003, is a type of work that requires less hours per week than a full-time work. Worker is classified as part-time if they work less than 30 or 35 hours per week on a regular basis. Next, according to Fer and Ailing 2000, there are several factors why students work part-time. Firstly, this researcher highlighted that financial issues are the major reason why some undergraduates are concentrated to work part-time. Moreover, part-time job have become one of the way to gain experience for future career by some students. By having part-time work, demonstrate that the student is at least somehow familiar with the professional world, making the switch efficient according to Chunha 2018. Lastly, according to the study conducted by Nashid 2021, since networking skills have become traditionally been crucial part of work success, networking is not a new notion in the world of professional development. A solid network may lead to the career prospect, development, opportunities, and prospect for student growth. In this study, the researchers had identified several major problems that influence UiTM KEDAH students to look for a part-time job while studying. According to the research by HSBC Holdings, University in Malaysia had to take on part-time job to make up for a median 43,500 ringgit financial deficit. Moreover, about 49% of Malaysian students had a college or university-related debt or loan, the third highest proportion of any nation studied, according to Suhaidi 2022. In addition, according to the research conducted by Robertum 2012, a declining level of public support may be one of the primary reasons why the increasing number of students cite the need to supplement their income with the part-time employment in addition to their academic pursuit. Until 2022, there are approximately 200,000 graduates in Malaysia who still jobless and lack of experience in workplace, according to the New Straits Times 2021. This is possible that having part-time work has become a expected component in student life because of the elimination of the basic grant and the subsequent rise in the amount of financial strain placed in the student salaries. As stated in this slide, the first research objective is to identify the student's perception toward working part-time while studying. Second is to identify the financial issue that influence students to look for a part-time job. Next is to identify whether gaining experience influence students to look for a part-time job. The fourth objective is to identify whether building networking influence students to look for a part-time job. And lastly, the fifth is to identify the most influential factors that influence students to look for a part-time job.
Moving on to Chapter 2, in this research study, we applied the theory of reason action. This theory explained about the person's action is influenced by the intention to carry out the behavior, which is dependent on their attitude towards the behavior and subjective norms. By employing this theory, this research has found its similarity in terms of finding that a student's action is influenced by their intention to look for a part-time job, which is depends on their attitude towards the behavior and subjective norms. Next, this is the hypothesis for our research study. From this theory, we are able to identify three variables that are used as independent variables as stated in the conceptual framework.
Next, we're moving on to Chapter 3. This chapter explains the research methodology used in this study. The first is research design, where we use quantitative method throughout the survey to test the hypothesis. For the unit analysis, we focus on the UiTM KEDAH student who do a part-time job while studying and to identify the contributing factor. For the sample size, this research only take 300 students to determine its accuracy and quality of the survey result. Moreover, for sampling technique, we use snowball sampling. Snowball sampling can be a useful way to conduct the research about people with a specific trait, such as students who work part-time job. Next, we distribute the online questionnaire through the Google form in collecting data, which English as a language in the questionnaire. Lastly, the overview of questionnaire consists 5 parts, which is A, B, C, D, and E. Besides that, we also perform a pilot study for this research with a 70 numbers of respondents.
Next, for Chapter 4 and 5, firstly, the profile of respondent, which includes gender, currency GPA, level of study, faculty, and source of financial support that can be seen as stated above. For RO1, it is to identify the student's perception towards working part-time job while studying. According to ILI 2017, the majority of students choose job in order to gain experience 66%, followed by increasing their financial issue 64%. Also, previous study conducted by Stiberg 1981 discovered that working while studying gives students with a natural indication of the criteria need to perform well in their future careers. For RO2, there is significant relationship of financial issues and factors that influence UiTM KEDAH students looking for a part-time job while studying. This finding is reinforced by former researcher Baron and Anastasia Doe 2009. They identified the reason students becoming involved in part-time job because 60% of respondents faced with financial issue, so that is why students involved in part-time job while studying in order to gain more money for their study and future. Furthermore, for RO3, there is significant relationship between gaining experience and factors that influence UiTM KEDAH students looking for a part-time job while studying. The study findings compiled by Hobbs et al. 2007 claim that they indicated the most students regard their job experiences to be beneficial and they feel it will prepare them well for their post-graduation career. Lin and Cheng 2014 also anticipated that gaining experience will be the primary reason why students look for a part-time job, as it will help them learn more relevant skills for their future career and comprehend the society. Following with RO4, there is significant relationship between building networking and factors that influence UiTM KEDAH students looking for a part-time job while studying. This finding is supported by Wang et al. 2010. Having part-time job while studying might inspire students to expand their social support networks. Therefore, it will improve the students' life, the study life of the students. The researcher came to the conclusion that students who had part-time job while studying had a greater chance of expanding their social support networks. Lastly, for RO5, gaining experience is the most significant factors that influence UiTM KEDAH students looking for a part-time job while studying compared to financial issues and build networking. The finding shows the value of the beta standardized coefficients is the highest among other independent variables, which is 0.481. According to the benefit of students' employment, working part-time enables students to get experience that is relevant to their job, while also helping them to define the objectives, improve their abilities and boost their self-confidence, and expand their professional connections. A study conducted by BYU Employment Services 2006 also proved that students who gather knowledge and experiences in variety of sectors via work they do while still studying are better positioned to command higher salaries after graduation. Next, we proceed to the research implication. Firstly, it will give useful information for public and government to take progressive approach to tackle the issue. Students at UiTM KEDAH are given better awareness of the factors that influence them looking for a part-time job because of the information that was supplied by this research study. Next, this study will offer the reader with a deeper understanding of the concept of part-time job. Some students find that doing a part-time job are both delightful and necessary for their survival. This research study does not only reveal the unfavorable factors that there are students looking for a part-time job, but it also highlighted the beneficial aspects of working part-time job while studying. And lastly, the employer view of students who work part-time job. This study study raises societal awareness of the importance of part-time workers, particularly students looking for a part-time job. Their worth must be equal and precise as stated in the Employment Act. An employer must not discriminate the part-time workers. There are two research limitations in this research study, which are the total of respondents required and the coordinations of the research team. So firstly, the recommendation for the first research limitation is by using appropriate sample size. If there are few people in the sample, the research will not provide reliable findings. The accuracy of the findings may be improved by selecting suitable sample size. A sample size that is excessively huge will result in the necessary expenditure of time. The majority of statisticians are of opinion that a sample size of at least 100 must be used in order to get any form of significant conclusion. The second recommendations for the second limitation is the delegations of work. A significant number of researchers struggle to overcome their reluctance to allocate tasks to the team member. So, routine duties should be allocated equitably to save time so that the work can be done effectively.
Based on the research, UiTM KEDAH students agree gaining experience are the main contributing factor of looking for part-time job because it is found that gaining experience is the key for the future prospect and knowledge. Optimistically, this study is the commencement in the learning process of investigating the factor influencing UiTM KEDAH students to look for a part-time job while studying. Many aspects need to be measured in order to get a worthy research finding in the complexity. Thus, gaining experience is the key improvement for factors influence UiTM KEDAH student to look for part-time job while studying.
These are the list of references that we use.